Just tell me when. Thank you. So thank you, community members. I see staff members here as well. And those of you who are watching us as we engage in this opportunity to have a conversation around the future of our school district. The idea of making an investment on education. So on behalf of the Board of Education, under the leadership of President Jerry Nordstrom and the entire board, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the honor to serve. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to our ideas as we now have an opportunity where we want to engage with you. Today is about listening. Today is about presenting to you for about 20, 25 minutes some of the best thinking that we have about our schools, and then to hear from you. What are the questions that you do have? What are things that we should do differently? And then we will put together a strategic plan that we will present to the Board of Education in the month of May and June, so that we can engage in the work. So again, I'm Dr. Jesse Rodriguez, your superintendent of schools, and I am blessed, I am excited, I am honored to serve you. I am honored to serve my community. I am honored to be the superintendent of ZION-BENTON Township High Schools. But being honored is not good enough unless there is a plan about the future of our schools. Being honored is not good enough unless we establish a trajectory of where we're going as a school district. We do have this idea from the administration, supported by the board, that our students must be college, career, and life ready. And we established some benchmarks. So this is just the beginning of the work, where we believe that 90% of our students must graduate. I want you to know that it should be 100%, but we're setting the goal of 90%. Currently, our data indicates that 79% of our students are graduating. So we would like to increase that. So in addition to that, we believe that 90% of our students having post-secondary plans is important. Career, college, workforce development, military, whatever that choice is. We do believe that that is important, and that is one of our goals as well. 90% attendance or higher, and 90% teacher retention. Some of you might say, but why teacher retention? It starts in the classroom. The most important place in the district is the classroom. So it is important that we retain our teachers, that we support our teachers, that we establish, and have high expectations for ourselves as leaders as we work with our teachers. So teachers do matter. Teachers are important. So again, that is one of our benchmarks as we move forward. And we know that our students won't be able to strive in becoming dynamic leaders in a social and a global economy. We know that we know for sure that won't happen unless we are centered on our mission. And the mission says that we are going to do this work in partnership with our community. So again, this is an opportunity for community engagement. This is an opportunity to talk about some of the projects that we have going on, the thinking behind those projects, and also an opportunity to engage with you here in person, and also those community members that are online. We will have an opportunity for you, if you are online, to provide feedback. At the end of the presentation, there will be a link. So you will have an opportunity to write your questions. We hope that this is an interaction, not just a one way of communicating with you. So again, our work is in partnership with our community. A couple months ago, it's almost been a year now, I joined this Board of Education, and that was the agreement. Can we do this in partnership with the community? Can we embrace the community? Can we empower students, staff, and community? And that is part of the work that we are engaged. That is part of the partnership and the commitment that we have for our students, for our staff, and also for our community. Going with that, we have some exciting proposals. So it will get better when Dr. Wilkinson comes here and shows you some pictures and provides you with information about what we are proposing. As you know, a couple months ago, we started a project, an auditorium. Maybe 1 or 2 years ago, this project started and it was completed. We're sitting in a new, state-of-the-art, beautiful performing arts center for our students, because our students deserve nothing but the best. And that is something that was done a couple years ago under the past administration and the Board of Education. We're now putting our energies in the auditorium, and then after that, we're looking forward to engage in academics, to look at our science labs, to look at the programs in industrial arts, to look at spaces for English learners, to look at potential office spaces, classrooms. The biggest challenge I had coming to ZION-BENTON was knowing that our schools were overutilized. So I had these great plans. Our teachers can do this, and that. No, they cannot. They share classrooms. Didn't you know that? No, they cannot. Those science labs, look at the size of those science labs. So again, it is our commitment, and it is my commitment in working with you to be fiscally responsive, but to make an investment on our children, to continue a legacy of success, to continue to be fiscally responsive, to continue to be recognized financially, but at the same time that we are conservative in our spending and that we invest in our children. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you our CFO, who will talk to us about the proposal and the rationale. This is not about building more. This is about building in alignment with the goals that we have for our students. Remember, they must graduate. Remember, workforce development is important. So Dr. Wilkinson will talk about the rationale and will provide us with some graphic representations of how this project might look like.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, and thank you to all of you who've chose to participate in person or through Zoom tonight with tonight's presentation. As Dr. Rodriguez had mentioned, that the strategic initiative is tied around the board's main goal. Our main goal is to ensure that our students are college and career and life ready. And by definition of renovating science classrooms and industrial arts, by definition, that's basically working towards that goal. And so we have some success indicators that we look at in terms of our board objective to those goals. And one of those indicators is targeted in increases in proficiency levels in English language arts, math, and science annually for Black special education, English learners, and Latino students. So by making these renovations, we are basically going towards a board-designated target for improvement for those students and for all students. Another success indicator is the percentage of students attaining industrial certifications in one or more areas of study will increase at least by 5% by 2025. Again, we know as educators that not all kids are bound for college. Some are just ready to get out and be career ready and need that training. And again, the second portion of this proposed project is industrial arts. So our goal, we've brought our performing arts in this lovely performing arts center up to the 21st century. We're taking our sports and athletics into the 21st century with a brand new natatorium, and now it's time to focus on our curriculum instruction and bring our science and industrial arts areas up to the 21st century. So when we think about the proposed renovation rationale, I want you to think about your science classroom and your industrial arts classroom when you were in high school, and think about some of the things and how it would change in the 21st century for our students today. So we're looking on focusing curriculum programs and resources for a personalized learning setting. Also, we want our students to have the ability to survive and thrive in a global economy. You know, some of us didn't have to worry about a global economy back then, but now our students today have to be able to compete in a global world economy. There's going to be some pictures coming up of our current existing classrooms, and I want you to think about your science classroom again and your industrial arts classroom back then to what it should be, and as we move forward will be looking like. Look at the pictures and think about flexibility in the layout of the room. Think about the mobility and utility of the furniture. Remember the old days where we're all lined up in a row, nothing moves, you're kind of set? That's not what the 21st century looks like. So we'll take a look at that picture, but think about your old classroom. And one of the most important things is a light-filled environment. When you look at a 21st century classroom, a lot of light-filled, natural sunlight coming in to assist in that learning process. So our project we're proposing, it'll be fiscally conservative and responsive without a referendum or bonding. We're looking at strategically investing $13.5 million from the district's fund balance. So we're strategically over the years, we have conservatively spent and expended dollars and saved and put that money aside so that we could do these future projects. We're standing in one right now. The natatorium, we use the same process, and we're using the same process as we move forward with the science and industrial arts classrooms. So does everybody remember their old science classroom? Because there's what our current science classrooms in this district look like right now. Remember the rows I was talking about? And you know, you got the screen that you pull down, and you know, in my day we had the slides, and you press the tape on the recorder and the slides move, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the situation that the rooms are in right now. So this is kind of what we're proposing. You see the natural sunlight, the monitor up there for presentation, the mobility. Look at the wheels on the chairs. Look at the wheels on the tables. So if we're going to use the science room as the lab as well, we may need to modify the instructional area to accommodate the lab. The classrooms that we're proposing right now, our current classrooms are about 900 square feet. The new classrooms will be approximately 600 square feet or larger. So you can see if I'm a science teacher, I'm going to have significantly more room to perform whatever labs and science information that we're trying to work on that day. So that's what we're proposing. This looks like my industrial arts class from when I went to school. I graduated in '87, so I don't know, I think there might be a couple out there that were in class with me, but that's what the current industrial art classroom looks like in this district. This is what we're proposing, a 21st century classroom for industrial arts. Notice, again, we have the external sunlight coming through, the modified air system, the cabinetry, and the industrial art equipment, again, presented in a way that is more consistent with 21st century. I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Melissa DeGangi, who's going to talk to us about the MTSS Resource Center.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wilkinson. So one of the options that this plan opens up is our ability to provide an allocated space for a multi-tiered system of support, which is also known as MTSS. MTSS really speaks to the whole child and ensures that a student's academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs are met in order to ensure that the student is successful in high school and beyond. One of the things specifically that an MTSS Resource Center will allow us to do is to centralize services and supports, making those services and supports more efficient and effective in reaching students and families. Of the various supports that we provide, as it speaks to the whole child, you're looking at academic intervention and enrichment in certain content areas. You're looking at social, emotional, and behavioral supports. We're looking at an expanded and explicit effort on parental engagement and parental and community partnership. So this really speaks to the whole picture, the whole child, and really speaks to us coming together, the various resources that we have within our buildings and within the community to make sure that we are wrapping around the whole child so that all students walk out of District 126 with the supports that they need. With that said, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Wilkinson for a few more slides. So you're right behind me.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Dr. DeGangi. So now what I'd like to talk about, and everybody wants to know what's it going to cost and how are we going to pay for it, I just want to talk a little bit about the current impact on taxpayers in this community. So the district has abated nearly $7 million in property taxes over the last 4 years. So an abatement means is we receive tax dollars, but we then give them back to the county, which by then lowers your tax rate. So as a result of the district's recent property tax relief grant and abatements in increased EAV, the district's tax rate has fallen from an all-time high of $5.30 in 2015 to the current $3.99, or by $1.31. That is a significant decrease over a 4-year period. The district's tax rate, again, for this year coming up is 7 cents lower than it was last year. The $3.99 tax rate is the lowest it's been since 2011. So we're operating in 2022 next year, but we're operating from a tax rate that's back to 2011. So the reduction in the tax rate, this year's savings for an is approximately $38.86 for the homeowner's house that is valued at $150,000, assuming their assessment remained about the same. So again, tax rates going down, payments are going down for the district, and we are still conservatively spending, planning, and preparing for the future. The tax extension of $28.9 million is slightly more than the district received 5 years ago in 2015. So the actual dollars that we receive are comparable in 2022 to what they were in 2015. But yet we're still operating efficiently and providing services to students. The new Equalized Assessed Evaluation, EAV, or the value of property within the ZION-BENTON community, is approximately $725 million. That is comparable to what it was 15 years ago in 2005. So we're operating in 2022, potentially coming up next year, with values from 2005. Project funding, again, we're going to be fiscally conservative and responsive without a referendum bonding. We are strategically investing in this community and our students' reserves and American Rescue Plan funds. American Rescue Plan funds are the recent stimulus that the Congress recently approved, and we'll be able to access those funds beginning July 1st of this year. And those funds we'll be able to spend them over fiscal years 22 and 23, which is the years that we're planning for the project costs to actually occur for the project. So what are our next steps? Where do we go from here? Well, we're funding the project with $14 million, approximately $13.5 million for the science classrooms and industrial arts area, and $500,000 for the MTSS Resource Center. With district reserves in fiscal years 2023 and other federal and state grants. We're having our first community engagement session tonight. We will also be hosting an community engagement meeting on Thursday. It'll be at the New Tech campus at the same time, 6 o'clock. So we hope others will come and join that conversation. We intend to hold a committee of the whole meeting sometime in May, and that's when all the board members will come together and will specifically share the same type of information that we're sharing with you tonight, but on a more operational level with the Board of Education. So in May, at the regular board meeting, we propose to approve the Capital Improvement Needs Plan. That's our 3-year fiscal and facilities renovation plan that we would ask the board to approve. At that meeting, we also hope to approve our architect and construction manager for the project. And then hopefully, once that occurs, we can bid the project in September of 2001, award the project in October 2021, and complete the project approximately around January 2023. And again, those dates are tentative right now, as this is just a proposal that we're taking through the process. But as we move further into the process, we'll be able to give more definitive times and amounts and that type of thing. So with that said, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Rodriguez, and he will go from there.
Thank you, Matt. As you saw in the presentation, the idea of utilizing federal dollars, state dollars, along with local dollars, that is the direction that we're going. So we're working very aggressively as it relates to that. We're also looking into this idea of addressing academics, health, life safety, infrastructure, and site. And that opens doors, for many, many, many things as it relates to funding. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you here in person, those online, the challenge was, let's put together a 3-year financial plan with a facilities master plan that addresses academics, where we are fiscally responsive and we make an investment on our children. And we continue with this legacy as we build our community. So that was the challenge to the administration. The administration has been phenomenal in the work. We had to engage in adaptive leadership, relearning, doing things differently, making changes. And now we're coming to you as a community, and we will bring this to the board for their consideration. So again, thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us online. And as I told you before, the idea is to hear from you. So we will have an opportunity now for a question and answer. And we will do that. If you are online, please click in the link that you see, ZION-BENTON Township High Schools.org, and please type your questions. We will address the in-person participants first, and then go into the questions that are provided by you online. Before we start with the questions, I will be remiss if I don't mention the fact that we have some individuals here today, and also some watching, that are serving our community at a very high level. We do have individuals in this auditorium who just got elected to become board members. So I'll start with introducing, Ms. Kathy Champagne, newly elected board member for ZION-BENTON Township High Schools. Congratulations. Let's give her a big hand. We also have, and I just had the pleasure of meeting him for a couple seconds, Mr. Christopher Benitez, also newly elected board member. And last but not least, currently serving the board, newly elected board member, Mr. William King. Thank you, board members, and board members watching us, as well. I know we have some board members that are watching us. They've been texting me about the idea that they are excited about this opportunity. So again, on behalf of the Board of Education, under the leadership of Jerry Nordstrom, I'm your superintendent, Dr. Rodriguez, ready for your questions, ready to engage, ready to learn from you. So if you do have a question, please come into the mic, and we will address the question accordingly. Ms. Champagne, do you have a question? No? Any questions? I was told that ZION-BENTON community, our folks are not shy. That's what I was told. I actually live in the community. I know we're not. So again, the mic is open. Otherwise, we also have the opportunity for questions online. And again, this is about listening to you. This is about the idea of sharing with you, but also, listen to you as we put our plans together and as we bring proposals to the Board of Education. We are happy to hear we're happy to hear that of the improvements, but are you proposing cutting any classes or programs? The answer is no. So the idea is to have a 3-year financial plan with a facilities master plan that guarantees a stable staffing. So programs and staffing will not be affected. Now, that is what we know now, and that is what we know for next year. In the future, based on state aid, there's some unknowns. But one thing that I can guarantee you is that the Board of Education and I, working together, will look into preserving all of those opportunities for children. We are here for children. So that commitment is there. So if at any time we have to stop something, we will. So, but that's a great question. Thank you. And again, the commitment is to continue to function with a stable 3-year financial plan and a facilities master plan with a stable staffing plan, as our enrollment is stable, and it will continue to be stable for the next 3 years. Any other questions, either from here or online? Can you go on the mic, please?
All right, so the second question we have, while that pops up, there were obvious savings with the buildings being closed for so long. So what have you done with the additional funds savings?
I will bring our CFO, forward, and we can answer that question. But I would tell you, there's the idea of having closed buildings in the pandemic doesn't mean that they are automatic savings, as you also have costs that you didn't anticipate. So there are certain things that we had to purchase and maintain that we did not anticipate, in the past. So at the end of the day, will there be a savings, yes or no? That is something that my CFO will answer, but I just will tell you, logistically, holistically, big picture, we also had anticipated costs, things that we didn't anticipate that we had to pay for now, that in the past we didn't have to worry about. So our spending continues to be conservative, and Dr. Wilkinson will answer that question with more details as it relates to the finance side of the house.
Yes, thank you. There have been some additional costs, obviously, beginning last March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Fortunately, we have received additional funding from not only the state and federal government, but also the county government. So that has helped offset a lot of those costs. Going back to some of the facilities, as for example, the natatorium being closed for, I think now 3 years, it'll be going on 3 years. Obviously, we didn't have costs associated with that, which would then be returned, obviously with conservative spending, would go down to our fund balance, which then we derive to use to pay for the new natatorium. So those savings that occurred because those parts of the facility here were not operating go to fund balance and then used as part of the project.
Is there a plan in place to update all classrooms? That's it. There's not a plan to update all classrooms, but it is very likely that the person who asked this question was a student here. And if I was a student in ZION-BENTON Township High Schools, I would ask the same question. I had no idea why, the shape of those classrooms. So the union president had a really good time explaining to me, this is what really happened. So again, is there a need? Yes. Is there a plan? We don't have a plan. The only plan that we have is the plan that we're presenting to you, but there is a need to address other instructional areas. It is very evident. And there is a commitment, but first things first. Yep. Yes.
One thing that I would add as far as the classrooms, that if you look at the areas that we're updating, science and industrial arts, those are also some of the most outdated classroom areas. So that's something to keep in mind when you talk about the shape of those classrooms. They are in the oldest part of the building, so they have been likely, I would say, if not arguably, the oldest rooms in the building that haven't been updated. So in essence, other parts of the building have been updated over the years, that those are the two areas that need the most updating.
Yes.
I would add too, as we go to renovate those new science classrooms, we will be vacating, what is it, Todd? 10 classrooms that will be upgraded to current 21st century learning spaces. So in essence, we're taking it step by step. Eventually we'll get throughout the whole entire district, but it just takes time. But we will get there eventually.
So I'm excited about the possibility of upgrading, but I'm just wondering, what is the plan if you're vacating? What is it going to look like? Because obviously the science hall doesn't have windows, so I know you must not be going to be down there. So what does this look like?
So some of the classrooms will be used as, to move possibly some teachers that are now sharing classrooms, a space for English learners, possibly, an expansion of specialized education, and also an expansion of technology. Our technology office only has one room, so an expansion of technology. Matt?
I would add, in addition to your question, I think you're talking about the sequencing of the project, how it will occur and who will move where. We will essentially start in the old natatorium area, building the new industrial arts classrooms. So no one will be displaced while we're building in that area. So once the industrial arts classrooms are newly renovated in the old natatorium, then industrial arts will move into that area, and then they will begin working on the science classrooms in the old industrial arts area. So still, no one will be displaced. And then the final sequence is science in its current area will move to the new science area, and then we will renovate the old science area into the modern classrooms. So no teacher will be displaced during this whole process. The sequence works out perfectly. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you. The idea, I'm sorry, I think I confused the question, but the idea is to continue with services as normal as possible, especially after this year. I mean, we do need that, so that instruction is not interrupted. So there is a plan to start with industrial arts first and then science, and accordingly. I want you to know that a couple months ago, we did have conversations about this, and the idea was science only, but we were so limited by doing that. And the cost was very similar, where we can now address, two different departments in need. So I was very excited to see the numbers, and I'm also very, very happy to see that the administration took the extra mile in bringing different proposals, and we ended up with this proposal that we believe is our best thinking and something that our board would love to hear about and possibly approve. Ms. Moreno, any other questions?
Yep, there's a new question up there. What will the staffing of the proposed MTSS Resource Center look like? Is this a revamp? Where did it go? Is this a revamp of the current Counseling Student Services Department, or is this net new staff? If new staffing, how do you plan to account for diversity among that staff?
Yes, the staffing for the new multi-tier system of support will be cost neutral, meaning that I will be working with the administration and bringing something to the board where we are going to use our positions differently. So one of the things that we got to be very careful is that I can add cost to these projects. I need to be cost neutral. I need to be fiscally responsive. And so what will happen is that there's some things that we have done in the past that are working that we're going to keep. And there's some things that we got to do differently. And we were engaged in that type of conversation. So for this new program, we will use our staffing differently. We will end up with the same staffing count, but people will have different duties. So that's how it will be done. As far as diversity, as a school district, we're always open to the idea of recruiting and retaining, the most talented. So we're looking for all candidates and all people who are interested in this type of jobs. Currently, we do have some staff members that will go into these jobs unless there are vacancies. But in short, it will be utilizing our existing personnel, and it will be organizing our people differently. Because once again, I am not, and I will not bring something to the board that will cost millions of dollars. It will defeat the whole purpose of doing the facilities improvements. Because now, instead of investing in you, I'm taking away from you. Can't do that. So it will be cost neutral, and it will be utilizing our people, our staffing differently as we move forward to next year.
We have another question that came in. Will the band and choir rooms be updated as well, since they are in the same wing as the industrial arts?
That's not a question for me. That will be Dr. Wilkinson. I want to answer yes so bad, but I can't.
Currently, we do not have the band and choir rooms as part of the science and industrial arts renovation. Again, it's going to be a process. It's going to take time. We'll get there. It's just we have to prioritize our resources, and we feel that the need is really there for science and industrial arts. We've got to get them up to the 21st century, and then perhaps the next step will be the band and choir areas and other areas in the buildings that we'll have to look at. But right now, our priority, our determination is we want to make sure kids are college and career and life ready. And we feel that the science and industrial arts is a nice balance of both of those goals, So at this point, no, but we're moving towards it in the future.
Any other questions? In-person participants, online? Your feedback matters. Your questions will be discussed.
Question just came in. Is the district working on any external partnerships to support the Career Ready track so that students graduate with Career Ready certifications? What programs are being established to address the Live Ready component?
Yes, Dr. Diganji, or our department chair, who is here for that area, can answer that question. But I just want you to know that as a superintendent, one of the goals is that we increase the number of students with career and industry certifications. The administration, in collaboration with the College of Lake County, in addition to the programs that we have in-house, we're able to achieve that goal. But right away, that was an area that we identified, an area of need, an area of focus for us as a school district. But Dr. Diganji will give you some specifics about how those programs look like.
All right, thank you. That's a really great question. Over the last several years, probably at least the last 3, we've really made a concerted effort to evaluate our elective programming and make sure that it was up to speed with the 21st century and that each course really had a connection to career beyond high school. So over the past several years, at least I can speak to in business education, for example, we've really revamped every course within that department. This upcoming year, we have adopted a business incubator course, and we've already partnered with our community partnership, which will be through CDW, and other local businesses that will partner with our students. We've added certifications across industrial arts, visual performing arts, and business education, from Microsoft Office specialist certification to Adobe Photoshop to screen printing, et cetera. There's a number that we have added over the last several years, and as we continue to update our coursework and programming, the idea is to continue to expand on that in order to add more programs. We've also added some dual credit in our industrial arts, dual credit blueprint reading course, which again helps prepare students when coupled with an applied mathematics course. So when students go over to CLC in that career field, they've already got 2 courses under their belt so that they can prepare, so they can have a leg up when they leave high school. So over the last several years, and we'll continue to do so, particularly as our facilities will now be able to support more and more, that has been a concerted effort and will continue to be. I don't know, Mr. Stout, did you want to add anything to that?
Other certifications, we have an OSHA certification. We've got screen printing, Microsoft Office prep.
Power mechanics?
We've got technician certification as well. So we're continuing to add to our certification offerings and continue to provide real skills for the real world and prepare our students to contribute to the workforce of our community.
I know I did say any questions, but now we do have an opportunity, for comments or your thoughts. If you would like to come to the microphone, your comments are important, your thoughts are important. But if you have questions, of course, we're open to answer those questions. But any comments or thoughts?
Good evening. I just want to appreciate all the transparency that District 126 has had. I've had 4 kids, 3 kids go through high school here. 2 of them are in college, and I think much of that is precisely because of the preparation that District 6 or ZION-BENTON has had. I still have a sophomore here, and he's excited to come, especially with the hybrid opportunity that the school has had. I think it was a much needed coming back to school. I guess, I don't know if it's a comment, but just a question, when do you think we would be able to go back to full schooling in that area?
Yes, thank you. I also have the same experience as you. I also have a student who is a senior, my son, and it was also needed, for him. And I must say that the work with our teachers, unions, support staff, administration, and also the flexibility provided by the Board of Education has allowed us to engage in all of these opportunities. Today we have many students in the building, taking SAT testing. So we do want to expand those opportunities, and we did already expanded those opportunities for in-person. I'm really, really, really looking forward to bring to the board a proposal for the fall where we have an in-person option. And the details of that will need to be worked out with our collective bargaining agreements and also our administrators. But if it is safe, and if we're promoting safety and awareness, and we're able to provide the in-person opportunities, that is a direction right now as we speak, unless something drastically happens, that we will go. So I'm also partnering with other organizations to ensure that we're able to help with community spread, to reduce it, to also bring other mitigation strategies to our school district. So right now, what we have, in short, we have these mitigation strategies that we're using, and they're working really well. And I must say that the teachers and the administrators are the ones making this work happen. But in addition to that, I'm looking forward to announce next week, actually during the board meeting, 2 more ideas that we can do in our district. 2 more partnerships to make it even safer and to address safety awareness. Our work will center in safety awareness while we have continuity in education. So, and I will say that our staff has never been afraid of our students coming back. That is happening in other districts. That's not happening here. But they do appreciate the fact that we have maintained a position where safety and awareness is important. But again, as you have indicated, I also share the same feelings as you, as my son is a student here and needed the in-person opportunity.
Another question. Are the lower districts on board with this update? In the past, they have been a critical partner in ensuring students are coming into District 126, considering their available options versus attempting to pivot during their junior, senior years. So I believe they're asking, are the foundation school districts on board with the update?
I can't answer that, but what I can say is that yesterday I started the process of engaging our superintendents. We do have our meetings, we do have our conversations about the fall and the idea of in-person. So it will be something that we have to work together. Each district can make their own decisions, but collectively, it will be beneficial for the community. As again, in keeping it real, let's keep it real. Let's have some real talk. The high school student might be taking care of the elementary student if that option is not available at the elementary districts. Again, the high school student might have to watch because daddy and mom, they gotta go to work, or daddy gotta go to work, or mom gotta go to work. You see, life continues. So I will engage in real talk with my fellow superintendents, and my board members will engage with other board members, because it is important that we have a collective approach when it comes to this. So that's my biggest worry, and so that's that question. It's an excellent question, and it does challenge. It challenged us into the idea of working together as one. So far in my 9 months here, the elementary school districts have been excellent as it relates to communication, and we do a lot of things together. But this type of work we have not engaged yet collectively, but it is coming in the next couple of days. I already started the process of doing that, and it is coming. And I hope that we have a collective approach and that we all come back in person if it is safe, and if we look at safety, awareness, and continuity of education. Ms. Moreno?
I will also add that whatever programming we update, our student services office plus our principals do meet and make sure that our foundational school districts, as far as placement and when students enter as ninth graders, are aware of their options, and when we have new programs, new courses that get updated or added to our repertoire, that those are shared. And so we do make sure that students know and become aware of the opportunities and the options that they have when they enter the district.
Yeah, our work will not get done if we don't work in partnership with our foundational schools. They used to be called feeder schools when I came here. We changed the name. They are the foundation of our work. So those opportunities we will continue to push. There's no 90% graduation unless we start with our foundational schools. What are we waiting for? 9th grade, 10th grade? That's too late. So we do everything we can and more. And we have interventions, and we have all of these strategies that are high cost, low impact. We need to work, and we need to do a better job, as a collective. And I will say to you again, as a community, in person, that the superintendents in the 3 school districts and we do have an open and a very good communication, and we do a lot of things together.
So I was told I accidentally skipped the question here, so let me go back to that. Will the overall course requirements begin to shift to allow students the opportunity to be placed on a career certification track and/or a college track?
Dr. Diganji?
Hi, so that's a very good question. At this point, we have not looked at requiring a change of course track in order to engage in our programming. Right now, as our schedules allow, students for all of the career programming, for example, that we offer, should be able to engage in multiple courses of that coursework. We require currently 6.0 elective credits, which would be 12 semesters of elective programming. So the certifications and the programs that we currently offer, students are able to access the current programming that we have. That said, we are continuously evaluating what our course requirements are and where we feel those course requirements fall as far as it relates to our goals of college, career, and life ready, and so we'll continue to do that.
Yes, and this idea of a summer school, this idea of a night school is something that we are going to push forward next year. More and more opportunities for our students to be able to graduate. And this idea of a parent coordinator, for the school district. And this idea of a counselor that is working with our students, utilizing untraditional ways of doing business, because we can't leave children behind. So there are some great plans that I will bring to the board in the next 2 months as it relates to support systems for our students. So this is, again, this is not only about construction, it's about what are we doing to graduate more students. And that is the North Star. How do we get that graduation rate up? There's only one goal: to ensure that our students are life, college, and career ready. And how do we make that happen? So, so thank you for that question. And please note that those safety nets are needed. Our community needs this type of safety nets. You know, I need our parents more engaged. I do. We all need that. But how can they be engaged when perhaps the school system didn't provide them what they needed? How do we rethink ourselves and take ownership and accountability for that and say, we are here, our doors are open for business because your little one matters. You matter. So again, it's a complex issue because you do have to take ownership of what has taken place and work in collaboration and understand, our people. So and being from our community, being from here, and working with our teachers and administrators, we have had those type of conversations around equity, excellence, and empowerment. And my legacy will be a legacy where all of the students that have historically failed or not made the grade that they need to make, we're not going to have those discussions in 5 years. So again, I do know I had the commitment of the teachers. I do know I had the commitment of the administrators. And the work is to continue to push forward, to provide opportunities for our students. It's not an achievement gap, it's an opportunity gap. And that's how we see it. Let's provide the opportunities. Let's do it as a community. Let's do it together. We are ZION-BENTON together. And we are one ZION-BENTON. So again, at the high school level, I will say this again, and I'll go to the next question. I'm not interested in waiting for them to come here in 9th grade to start doing something. I'm interested in addressing them, and I can't wait to visit District 6, District 1, District 3, and see the K-5 students reading. It starts there. And then when they come to us, they come high school ready. And when they leave us college, career, and life ready. So the message to the superintendents and our conversation is about readiness. Let's work on that. Make sure they're high school ready. We'll take care of the rest. But we're not pointing any fingers. We're doing this together. So again, it will be a beautiful partnership. It will be a beautiful transformation of our community, our school, and we look forward as an administration with our staff to make ZION-BENTON Township High School, New Tech High School, the best schools anywhere. Other questions, Ms. Moreno, or?
Yep, a question just came in. A success indicator of the proposed renovation is targeted increases in academic proficiency levels for students. But what is the district doing right now to address the educational needs of Black and Latino students?
Our any administrator that have an answer to this, please come forward, because it is important that we address this elephant. It's an elephant in the room. And without having specific safety nets and opportunities, the conversation will continue 5 years from now. So if our efforts are focused on intervention, that is a high-cost, low-impact strategy. So our efforts are not only focused on intervention, we're also looking at enrichment and acceleration. A curriculum that is culturally relevant, teachers who understand and believe in all students, administrators that do the same. A collective approach between elementary schools and the high school in addressing this phenomena. So again, it is the elephant in the room and something that we have discussed. And the administration understands that our legacy is that in 5 years, we should not be having those conversations. But there are things that we have to do. There are internal and external factors that are contributing to this. It's not only school. And we understand that. But we also understand that we play a big role, and we take that seriously. So we take the challenge seriously, and we're looking forward, again, to ensure that we have enrichment, acceleration, and also intervention for our students, that we use our resources effectively, and that we measure our data, and that we look at our data constantly so that we can eliminate this opportunity gap that has historically, just chasing us. And there's no one quick answer, but again, the collective approach. But my director of teaching and learning, my principal, they do have a specific strategy that we are utilizing, at the district level, building level. But I just want you to know that that is an elephant in the room. That is a big concern from the Board of Education. That is my concern, even when I came in to interview as your superintendent. And that is an area of priority for us as a school district.
So I want to start by echoing something Dr. Rodriguez shared about our approach, what it has been so far, and it has not been perfect, but what we are trying to look at is starting with what we can do differently as a district, which to me starts with opportunity. When we talk about achievement gaps, we must first look at opportunity gaps, believing wholeheartedly that opportunity precedes achievement. So some of the things that we've started to do as far as dismantling some of what we consider narrow measures, allowing kids to access specific coursework. We've doubled our AP enrollment, for example, over the last 4 years, while also seeing an increase, at least last year over the year prior, of 11% as far as the increase in 3s or better on AP exams. So looking at AP coursework and looking at multiple measures to identify student readiness for that coursework. Expanding coursework in areas that stem beyond sort of just traditional core areas in order to make sure that we have opportunities that speak to diverse talents, diverse interests, diverse backgrounds, so that students recognize that we value readiness and achievement in multiple areas. So that's one way, and that kind of a little bit speaks to the acceleration and enrichment. There is an element, and we've talked about this a bit with MTSS, of intervention, but MTSS, the bigger picture of it all, too, speaks to the universal design, the tier 1, which is what happens in the classroom. And so we'll really look in that program at being strategic about what culturally responsive practice look like, so that we can ensure we're meeting the vast majority of our students' needs right in the classroom. So as a district, we have spent the last several years on professional learning in order to make sure we are equipped to meet diverse learning needs, to meet diverse backgrounds, to add more culturally relevant curricula, and to do all those things that we know should help our Black and Latino students. So it is multifaceted. It's professional learning, it's programming. It's also, last year, we eliminated a lot of fees that we had in place when you talk about opportunity and accessing programming. So we're looking at this from a multifaceted approach. We need to look at curriculum and instruction. We need to look at policies we have in place that ensure students have access to our programs, whether that's eliminating fees to participate in athletics or to take an AP exam. And then we also need to work on ourselves as educators to ensure that we are best equipped in order to meet diverse needs, honestly, and to meet the needs of students that may look different from ourselves, that may come from different backgrounds, that may speak different languages. And so it's really multifaceted, and those are the things we're working on now. But are we done and are where we need to be yet? Absolutely not. And are we going to continue to listen, hear, and learn so that we can adjust and improve what we're doing? Absolutely, and we're just getting started. Mr. Kubik? Oh, yes, that would be a great thing to do, yes.
I'm Chris Kubik, principal at New Tech. One of the things that I'm really excited about that we're doing in light of this is engaging in a district-wide equity audit. We're bringing in an outside consulting company. A very wise person has noted that we have expertise in-house, but we also have expertise we need to bring in from the outside, especially for that perspective, because we have blind spots. So this equity audit should shed light on a lot of the areas that we need to make improvements, whether that is looking at curriculum. And it's not just the outside company looking at curriculum, it's building capacity within our staff and faculty to look at our own curriculum and identify we really don't have diversity in the sources that we're bringing in. And then looking at not only the content, but the process, how we teach. Are there ways that we teach that unintentionally cause some students to feel like this isn't for me, or the expectations are low, or this doesn't resonate with me? So looking at content and process is a challenge that we're hoping the equity audit will shed light on. At the building level, we're also having regular conversations about this with the staff so they can identify these areas that may make students and family members feel unwelcome. Yes, we invite all parents to be engaged, but can we be more deliberate in engaging families? Can we be more proactive so that the only time they get a phone call isn't when there's a problem? Can we be more proactive in building that problem-solving relationship? So this is an ongoing area of improvement, and I'm excited for the progress that we're making.
Questions, comments, thoughts? We are almost finished. Equity equals access. That's what we talk about. Are we providing students the opportunities and the access that they need? And as a professional learning community, are we doing that holistically? So that audit is coming up. In addition to this new program with MTSS, in addition with the commitment that we have to challenge the status quo and address this persistent graduation rate, this persistent level of achievement, for our students. And doing that would take, it would take a holistic approach where we engage our community, our foundational schools, our teachers. We're all responsible for this. So this is not only school, as I mentioned to you before, there are external and internal factors that contribute. And in the middle, you have grit. And do we have the grit as a staff to work with our students, to work with our community? Do students have the grit to make it happen, to persevere? So in reality, as I mentioned before, this will take a collective approach where we are very intentional about the work that we're doing, where we're very honest about what we're doing as a school district. And I just want to say thank you for those of you here, also for those questions that you ask. There's not a talking point. There's not a political answer. We're giving you our honest feedback openly, as that is the only way that we're going to really, really address the instructional, social needs of our students. So again, I just want to say thank you for being here today. Thank you for being online. Thank you, board members that are here, board members online. We have a beautiful responsibility. We have the awesome responsibility of being together to transform District 126. I am not interested in a job. I am interested in making a difference with you. I am interested in both schools with transformation plans, going from good to great, going from A to B, where B no longer looks like A. And also as a community. And also this partnership with our foundational schools, partnerships with our faith-based organizations, business-based. Our district is open for business. So and we're going to persevere, we're going to push hard, we're going to push every staff member to the edge. They're not going to fall. Kelly, they're not going to fall. But we got to push them to the edge, and I got to do the same thing with my administrators, and I got to push myself as well, because our students matter. And this work is too serious, and I know that you're here today because you do care, There's so many places you can be right now, and if you're watching online, there's so many places you can be, and you're here with us. And I just want to say thank you for the partnership. We are doing this again at New Tech Thursday, and we continue to look forward to this partnership with you. Because at the end of the day, our legacy will be a legacy of excellence. Because excellence is our standard. Excellence is why we're here. Excellence starts with us. And excellence is what we need for all of our students and for ourselves. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and have a blessed evening.